Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Blu-Roy Movies. Hope you're all doing well. Well, we're recording this the middle of October. Halloween season's in full swing in the movie community. I've taken part in it myself. What have I done? I've done my top 10 horror films, which brilliant reception. Uh, Done the best video that I've done so far by amount of numbers of viewings and subscribers, which was fantastic. I've done 31 films of horror tag, which I was kindly tagged in. And what else have I done? Oh, I've done my horror all-nighter. 4 films I'd watch at the cinema for a horror festival. And I must admit, I'm starting to get a bit jaded now with the horror. For me, there's only so many vampires and zombies and ghosts and that I can listen to, and yeah, it's not my favourite genre of horror. And I know all you guys love it, and you keep making your videos about it, but yeah, for me, I was starting to feel a little bit jaded with it, so I'm making a bit of a one man stand today and going off kilter. And if you think I'm just a miserable bugger, well, you wait a couple of months and everybody's banging on about Alf and bloody Home Alone. So, but going off kilter from everybody else, I'm gonna do my top 10 war films, and war is genre that I love very much. Always like a good war film. So let's get into it. I'll show you guys what my top 10 are, and a caveat just to say this is my personal top 10 list. I'm not proclaiming that these are the top 10 horror films, top 10 best war films ever made. Everybody's opinions are different, and so they should be. If we all like the same stuff, there'd be no need for people to make top 10s like this, because you'd know what it was. So let's crack on with it. And number 10, I've gone for 1958 film directed by Leslie Norman, and that's Dunkirk. Now, this has got a great cast: John Mills, Richard Attenborough, Bernard Lee, who you know from the Bond films, the late Kenneth Cope, we lost pretty recently, dear old Bernard Cribbins. Now, if the newer version of Dunkirk was very stylised from Christopher Nolan, this film, in my opinion, is more about the substance. This is a great film. I really enjoy it. It's quite long. It's about 2.5 hours, and you really get underneath the characters of these poor guys trying to make it across France to get to the beach to eventually be evacuated, and probably helped us win the war, because I don't think if that had gone wrong, God knows what the world would be like now. Yeah, and from the other side, you've got Bernard Lee coming over with the Armada of small boats. I think they're going to that much better than Nolan did. All the Armada of small boats going over to rescue these guys. Yeah, a really wonderful film that I really enjoy, and that's my number 10, Dunkirk. At number 9, a film from 2013, directed by Jonathan Tablitsky, and a film I've spoke about before on the channel, and that's The Railway Man. Now, I'm going to spoil this because I can't talk about it really without spoiling it. So if you've got any intention of watching this, and I do highly recommend that you do watch it if you haven't seen it, and it's a film that's not as many people have seen it as they should have done. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear the spoilers. But this stars Colin Firth, Nicole Kidman, Stellan Skarsgård. This is about Colin Firth later on in his life. He's a middle-aged man, and during his younger days in World War II, he served in Burma as like a engineer, and he was captured by the Japanese. In his prisoner of war camp, he built a radio so that they could keep up with news of how the war was going, and this was discovered by the Japanese officers who, and this is a true story and very true to the story because I've read the book as well, who tortured him to an inch of his life. If it hadn't have been that the camp was liberated, this guy wouldn't have made it. And later in his life, Firth's character, he discovers that the guy who was culpable for most of his interrogations and torture was still alive and actually working as sort of like a guide at the museum for where this camp was and the railway that they made them build. So Firth's character, he goes over to Burma with the full intentions of killing this guy and finally putting his tortures to bed, because what happened in his early life tortured him throughout his life, nightmares and throwbacks and PTSD. But, and this is the bit I'll spoil, when he gets there, instead of killing the guy, he actually befriends him and they become friends until the day one of them dies, and going backwards and forwards from Japan to England to visit each other. And I just love at the end how heartwarming it is, and it goes to show how people can change, how nations can change, and how there's hope going forward that ills in the world of today could perhaps change, and just gives you a bit of glimmer of hope. Yeah, it's a film I dearly love, and a film that's very underrated, and one that I could watch over and over again. That's The Railway Man. Just fantastic stuff. Next up at number 8, from 1986, directed by Oliver Stone, Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe, Forrest Whitaker, Johnny Depp, Tony Todd. What a cast! Platoon. Vietnam War film that's so visceral, as you've got Charlie Sheen sort of stuck in between Tom Berenger as this evil bloody, I don't know what rank he is, Sergeant Major, I don't know what the equivalency of American ranks, I'm showing me ignorance, and Willem Dafoe, who tries to do the right thing even in times of war, and how these two different guys clash in their ideals of war, and the end of it is just brilliant. Absolutely splendid war film, and that's why it's my number 8. Wonderful stuff. At number 7, we have from 1955, directed by Michael Anderson, starring Richard Todd as the great Guy Gibson and Michael Redgrave as Barnes Wallis, and that's The Dam Busters. This is a film I grew up watching year in, year out, always on at Christmas, all about making the bouncing bomb to do the raid on the dams in the Ruhr Valley in Germany. Just the technical marvel of how Barnes Wallis got it to work, and then the courage of the guys who were going to do the mission, because them guys had a very low survival rate of surviving the war, and them bombers, they're absolutely brave men. It boggles my head these days how brave these guys, because I think I'd have struggled to do it myself, but who knows when these things happen. Beautifully shot, looks wonderful. The score is totally iconic. Everybody knows the Dam Buster March. Again, a wonderful film that it surprised me that when I spoke about it before, people have said they haven't seen it. It's a film that I thought everybody had universally seen, but maybe not. Let me know below if you haven't seen this, because it did surprise me last time, people who said they hadn't seen it. Yeah, just a wonderful war film. Next up, from 1957, by the wonderful director David Lean, and that's The Bridge on the River Kwai. Alec Guinness, William Holden, Jack Hawkins, James Donnell, Andre Morel. Superb cast again. Beautifully shot film. Looks absolutely wonderful. Blu-ray looks great, so I don't know what the 4K looks like. Must look marvellous. And again, touching on similar themes with the Railwaymen, about the guys forcing to build railways by the Japanese, and how they're building this bridge, and Alec Guinness is focusing all the guys' work on it, and they're making this sort of like a target of English and British engineering genius, where on the other side of the coin, the British have found out that their own guys are building this, and they've sent a commando hot squad into destroying the bridge. And then like, you got some of the British who want it to stay because they're so proud of it, but the right thing's got to be done. It's got to come down because the Japanese needed to be stopped. Yeah, David Leigh, what a director he was. Film after film after brilliant film. Absolutely wonderful Bridge on the River Kwai. So that's halfway. Now we're on to number 5, and we're into the Stanley Kubrick set from 1987. Now, Paths of Glory on Another Day could easily have made it into this list. That's another wonderful film. But for me, I think would maybe his signature film for me, Kubrick, is Full Metal Jacket. Matthew Modine, Ali Emmett as iconic role as the gunnery sergeant, Vincent D'Onofrio as Private Pyle, Adam Baldwin, and a lot of people always say they like the first half of the film where they're doing the training with the drill sergeant much better than the second half where they actually get to war. But for me, I disagree. I just like it all the way through. I just think it's an iconic war film. Top peak Kubrick, and absolutely fantastic. That's why it's my number 5. At number 4 from 98, Spielberg, Saving Private Ryan. Absolutely wonderful film, and what a cast. Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, Vin Diesel, Tom Sizemore, Paul Giamatti, Ted Danson, Barry Pepper, who I spoke about on the video the other day. Iconic scenes of the beach landing, probably the top 10 scenes ever shot of films. All about trying to find Matt Damon, because all his brothers have died in the war, and they want to bring Matt Damon back home so that his mother's got one surviving son. And just excellent film. Tom Hanks in this, brilliant. I could watch this over and over again, and looks really good in 4K. That's Saving Private Ryan, number 4 in my list. At number 3 from 1963, John Sturges, and another film, a Christmas staple, a film just used to watch year in, year out, and whenever other opportunity I could watch it, before the days where you had collections like this to hand and you could watch it whenever you wanted. And maybe the finest ever cast put to film: Steve McQueen, James Garner, Richard Attenborough, love Richard Attenborough, Charlie Bronson, Donald Pleasant, James Coburn, David McCallum, Gordon Jackson, John Layton, Nigel Stack. I like Nigel Stack. Just to excuse a pun, it's just pure escapism for me. And McQueen, the iconic motorcycle shots, and digging the tunnels, and making the hooch, and Garner as the scrounger, nicking the cameras and twisting the guards round his fingers, and just brilliant film. It was about 3 hours long, and you never get bored, and it was perfectly paced. Absolutely wonderful film. Great escape. My number 3. Number 2, and I ummed and ahed. Should it be number 2? Should it be number 1? And it narrowly could be number 2. It was a fag paper between them. From 2009, from the auteur himself, Quentin Tarantino. Inglourious Bastards. And another fantastic cast. Brad Pitt, Christoph Waltz, Melanie Laurent, Diane Kruger. Nice to have a couple of girls. It's been a sausage fest so far. Michael Fassbender, Daniel Bruhl, Rod Taylor, Mike Myers, who I didn't even know he was in it until after I'd seen it. He was certainly hidden well. Tarantino, this is my favourite Tarantino. From the first scene to the last scene, it's just scene after scene of iconic. The way it starts off in the farmhouse with Christoph Waltz as Hans Lander, who I think is my favourite movie villain. He bloody brilliant he is. You can tell Waltz is having such a good time playing him. He's really sort of like hamming it up. Such an evil character, and Waltz is loving every minute of it. The scene in the cellar where they catches Michael Fassbender out because he does the British sign for 3 and not the German sign for 3. Top tier war film, and like I say, so very nearly my number 1, but just got beat out by, from 1978, directed by Michael Cimino, The Deer Hunter. This is a wonderful film. Again, great cast again. De Niro, John Cazale, who was so ill during the filming of this, bless him, and died shortly after. John Savage, Christopher Walken, Meryl Streep, who's absolutely beautiful in this. And I've criticised films before, in particular, like Costa directed films for being long and stretched out. And this is 3 hours long, slow paced, but this is how you do it. The way it starts off and introduces you to the people living in this blue collar, hard working town, and you get a feel for the town and what the community's like and how the people all pull together as a community and how tight-knit they are. There's a scene in a bar where they're singing, "I love you, babe." Well, they're playing pool, which are absolutely fantastic. One of my favourite films in cinema. And then they get to war and all hell breaks loose. The iconic Russian roulette scenes, to this, every time I see it, they still chill me. Till then, when De Niro gets back and he tries to settle back into his old life, and it's so hard, and Walken's still out there missing, so he has to go back out and try and find him. Just an absolutely spectacular film, which is my number 1 of all time. Brilliant film. So guys, that's it. That's my top 10. What did you think? Let me know down below. I know there's some big hitters not on my list, and you're all going to be probably screaming Apocalypse Now, but I don't know. Just do it for me, which is probably sacrilege to some of you guys, but we're all different, eh? So thanks very much for liking. Give us a thumbs up if you've liked what I've done today. Maybe think about subscribing. I've enjoyed doing this and talking to you guys again. You'll all be good, and I'll see you later. Ta-ra.